Hey everybody, Sergio with the Rideshare Guy. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Wheel. Today I'm joined by Nick. Nick, what city are you from?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the Brewers. I wanted to talk to Nick for a couple of reasons. Obviously, he has an interesting background to say the least. But we're going to talk about how gig apps come into play when you need them actually. He'll tell his story in his own words, and then we'll talk a little bit about Octopus tablet. I think he's got some very valuable points when it comes to that. So with that said, Nick, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, like I said, Nick McCudden. I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. By background, my regular job is I'm a mortgage broker. I own my own mortgage company with my brother. Been 30 years at it, and the last two have been as bad as they've ever been, even worse than the crash in 2008. Which is why I started the ride share. The COVID years were fantastic, so I had quite a bit of savings and kind of relied on that to supplement, but I didn't want to keep doing that. So I went to rideshare, and I usually focus on passengers. I don't really like doing the food. I've done it from time to time if it's really slow. But I prefer A, talking to people, and B, not having to try to go up, find parking downtown and apartment complexes and college campuses and all the other fun things. So primarily Uber and Lyft.
Okay, how long you been doing rideshare?
About 8 months.
8 months. I'm not going to call you a newbie because I know you watch us and you learn quite a bit, and I've spoken to you before. Um, 8 months. And what kind of car do you drive?
Primarily a 2017 Chevy Equinox. I have three vehicles I can use. One's comfort, but that one makes no sense really to use unless I'm just plugging away an hour or two. And then I have a Toyota Highlander that I can use as an XL. I don't, maybe once a week or twice a month, something like that. If there's big events or something, I take it out. But as you know, the vast majority of it are just Uber X and Lyft standard rides, and the Equinox is paid off, and it's not a perfect car for rideshare, but it's the car I have, and I'm able to. It had low mileage. I think it did about 45,000 miles when I started. So it's useful. It isn't the perfect car, but it does its thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you found rideshare to be a gap, I guess, right? Close the gap kind of a situation. Because I mean, as you may know, I'm in finance as well. I had a mortgage company between 2000 and 2006. And we know how that ended. But
Right.
in this situation, obviously, Fed raising the interest rates had a lot to do with your business slowing down, correct?
Yeah, yeah, and on your other channel, you've talked about it extensively. It's been really good information, but yeah, that in a nutshell, the Fed has really done a number on us and our friends in Washington with spending and more spending.
Yeah.
Inflation was we all knew it was coming. We just didn't know it was coming this hard and this quickly. It's been a certainly been a bad run for everyone in real estate, pretty much.
Yeah, I agree. And then I do actually have a lot of viewers of ours that are in real estate brokers more than mortgage brokers who are doing rideshare, right? So in that sense, there are some positives obviously about rideshare, but let's talk a little bit about your typical day, right? What's Nick's day look like? How many hours you drive? Are you full time? Are you part time? All that stuff.
Yeah, I mean by hours it's pretty much become full time. I don't drive a lot on Monday and Tuesday. I primarily focus on my other job, maybe a little bit in the afternoons when things are wrapped up, early evenings. And then usually Thursday and Friday, I will when I drive, I'll try to go out right away in the morning and do 12-hour shifts. and then one day of the weekend. So either Saturday or Sunday, depending on what's going on. Sometimes more. And right now we have Summerfest going on, which is a massive music festival that draws, I don't know, 100,000 people a night, give or take, on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the next 3 weeks. So Milwaukee, actually, this past weekend there was a Dave Matthews concert, and then there was Kenny Chesney and Zach
Yeah.
Brown at the Brewers Stadium, and Summerfest with I think 60, 80 some musical acts on, I have 13 different stages.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was surging. It's just a matter of how long you wanted to stay out and how crazy you wanted to get trying to find your passenger.
Yeah. I mean, the important thing for you is that you have something to fall back on. This is actually most people do rideshare on their way to a plan B, right? You're plan A,
Right.
you're a mortgage broker, you're an educated man, you have a business, I'm sure you're still doing some loans, not as probably much as you are doing before. But the point is, you're actually, rideshare is your plan B, not your plan A. You already have a plan A.
Correct. I hope Plan A becomes the only plan sooner or later. I never thought I'd be doing rideshare for 8 months. That I thought I'd do it for a little bit and things would get back to normal. And here I am 8 months later. So as they like to say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think my crystal ball is saying that, once they start lowering rates, your business will pick up. And then you look back at Uber and Lyft as an experience. I mean, it's not a bad thing for you probably as well, because if you're doing, almost full time, right? Meaning giving 20, 30 trips sometimes per day, you can pass your cards around, you can network, you can do all kinds of things.
yeah, yeah, exactly. My kids are both in college, so they're home now. But
Yeah,
and my wife works, so if there just wasn't enough to do with the mortgage business all winter. So I wasn't just going to sit inside and watch Netflix or something. I figured I might as
yeah,
well go out and make some money. And as everyone knows, the beauty of it is if I got a call that I got to take, I just turn off the apps and pull out my laptop and go to work, or go back to my office. So it's not perfect, but it does cross a bridge. And it's been helpful.
yeah. And the thing is that, I always ask everybody that I interview, give me two things you like about rideshare and two things you dislike about rideshare. And obviously yours is going to be the flexibility part, but I want to hear it from you. What are the two things you like about it and what you don't like about it?
Yeah, the flexibility. I do like meeting people, not all the people that get into our cars,
Yeah,
certainly, but the ones that are good. And I like the weekends. I don't go deep into the night or bar time or anything like that, but I like to take people out on their way to go do fun things,
yeah,
and good conversations generally. And so those are the two main reasons. And of course, it's money, it's cash.
yeah,
It's not make believe. You can write off a lot of miles and you can make it look like no income. But I do transfer money into my bank account on a
yeah,
monthly basis, and the money's real. So
yeah,
I mean, you're using your car obviously a tremendous amount, but it's what I'm doing for now. And as far as things I don't like, I think it's probably what everybody doesn't like. I actually don't complain that much about the pay. I don't know what's fair or not fair because,
you're
Uber and
new.
Lyft don't even really make a profit.
Yeah,
So I don't, some of these rides, you can't charge a customer $100 to go 20 miles so that we can make 50 and they can make 50.
yeah.
So the dangerous part though, Milwaukee has, like every city, a lot of really bad parts of town. And I'm learning summer hits a whole lot different in those parts of town. And here, our market, Uber, we're flying blind. So because
Oh, you don't have upfront fares?
we don't, so I can see the general distance or the general time and the general distance I'll be going and direction. But I just get the notification if I take it, I see where I pick up. When the
Yeah,
passenger's in the car, I'm seeing where I drop off. So a lot of times you get into some really bad neighborhoods.
yeah,
Um, and you either just have to take the next rides as they come because that's tends to be where it's really busy during the day. You get in some of the outer areas, it's really slow during the week. If you're in the suburbs somewhere, you might catch a ride here and there, but ultimately, it's only a matter of time before someone needs to go back to a part of town that you don't want to be in at night, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm surprised actually that I mean, Milwaukee cannot be that small of a market, and that they don't have upfront fares that you're kind of driving blind. Is it the same on both Uber and Lyft?
No, Lyft, you get everything. You get the whole upfront distance time. Lyft doesn't have a lot of market share here.
Yeah.
I don't think they do anywhere. I could survive just doing Uber. I don't think I could make enough if I just ran Lyft.
Okay.
Um, I don't know, a couple times a week, a month, they'll have bonuses. But like this week's bonus, I think is 60 rides, 55 rides, something like that, Monday through Thursday. It would be tough to get that unless I'm driving, the full 12 hours for all 4 of those days.
Yeah, that's crazy actually. That one offers you the destination and the other one doesn't. And I mean, maybe Lyft is offering it because they want to gain some drivers, on their side or whatever not. But ultimately it's the demand, right? I mean, so give me a little bit about the flavor of the Milwaukee market. You said there's a lot of events going on, things like that. So how close are you from where you live or from your office to those
Yeah,
events?
I live about 30 minutes north of Milwaukee, so I sometimes get rides when I turn on the apps in the area around my house. Generally, I have to drive about 15 minutes to get into the greater Milwaukee area and start to get pings then. Um, and my office is down in a suburb of Milwaukee, so
Okay.
I got to go down there that way anyways if I'm planning to go to the office. What can happen to me a lot is the north side of Milwaukee is the undesirable neighborhood, and I'm coming from the north, so I
Okay.
generally am driving down that way, and that's where I start to get rides right away in the morning. Airport's probably 45, 50 minutes south. I never sit at the airport and wait for rides, but I do have some luck getting rides from my area down to the airport, and
Yeah.
that those are always nice surprises.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, the summer in Milwaukee is just crazy with events and festivals. Pretty much every weekend there's some sort of ethnic fest, and then Summerfest is, I still think, one of the largest music festivals in the world. Brewer games, there's all kinds, beer gardens, outdoor events. There's an awful lot, and then next month we have the Republican National Convention.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what that's going to be like, because they've released the security checkpoints and the no-go zone for drivers where you have to be frisked and all that if you go down there. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work, but
It's going to be a traffic
nevertheless,
mess, I'm pretty sure. It's going to be a
it
traffic.
is, yeah. That and the like every northern city, Milwaukee is torn to pieces with construction. I don't know why, but it seems like they've got several consecutive major north or east-west thoroughfares that are all under construction. So you can really get bogged down, which is why actually I don't mind the rate card instead of upfront
Yeah.
fare, because that's the
Yeah.
problem with Lyft. You could say they could say it's a 10-minute ride, and 25 minutes later you're still sitting there for your
Yeah.
$4 or $8 or whatever you're being paid.
Yeah, I mean, upfront fares is not what everybody thinks it is, right? Obviously, who doesn't want to see where they're going, right? I mean, it's a no-brainer. But
Right,
then we've discovered so many things with upfront fares over the last year and a half that it's just like at this point, it really doesn't make sense, honestly. It needs a complete overhaul or some sort of adjustment because, we hear and talk about the horror stories with upfront fares. But, I wanted to also talk to you a little bit about passive income, right? I mean, who doesn't like passive income? So
right.
passive income, on my other channel, we talk about different things, investments and things like that. But in your case, you have an octopus tablet, right? And last show, actually, last Tuesday, we talked about Show Me the Money, that Uber is creating a partnership with Octopus Tablet, who is owned now by T-Mobile. And how long did you have that? And what's your experience like? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've had it, I think almost from the beginning. I don't with Facebook groups, and once the algorithm on Facebook says that you're in some rideshare groups, I just kept seeing the ad for the Octopus device, and so I got it. It's free. It's just a regular sized tablet. I mean, I've got it here. It's
Oh,
tiny. You
okay.
just on the back. Um, I turn it on when I leave in the morning. It runs automatically while you're moving. And then you make a little bit just for having it on. So wherever you're driving and you have it on. And then of course if passengers play with it, then
Yeah.
then you get a little bit extra money for that. It's not a lot of money as you laid out. It's 25 to $100 a month, but it also doesn't cost you anything to run it. During the week, it doesn't, very few people play with it because the young adults are just staring at their phone.
Yeah.
The older adults think they have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And then it's popular when people are drinking. If people have been drinking, they like to do the trivia and play and have some fun. You can adjust the volume. So if the little it's got background noise, kind of like a casino, that can get a little bit tedious if you're driving around all day
Yeah.
listening to that. So a lot of times I just keep it on very low so that the passenger knows that it's there. Or I mention it that it's free to play and go ahead and do the trivia or the games. It gives you the weather, it gives you sports scores. It's a pretty useful little device. It doesn't have TV. Some people think you can
Yeah.
watch TV like YouTube, and you can't do that.
Yeah.
And one of the groups, somebody said they just treat it as their Christmas bonus. So they don't look at it. And at the end of the year, December, they go in and sometimes they have 500-600 bucks and they weren't expecting it. And they take that and they go buy their Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good way to look at it. I did look before we went on. I think I've accumulated about $325 in the 6 months. So it's free and it's not nothing, but it's just another accessory to have. I don't think I've had anyone that like gets upset that it's there or anything like that.
Yeah.
Some will just turn it down or ask if I can turn it off.
Yeah.
But that's usually business people during the week that are trying to do something else.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'm going to obviously follow this, closely, but the when Uber gets involved in something, right? I mean, now they may be just pushing nonstop their ads on the tablet, right? And then, I mean, we all know how ad fatigued we all are, right? We see on our cell phones, everything gets pushed to us. So I'm hoping that this involvement with Uber and Octopus, right, it doesn't kill the fun out of it. It doesn't take the fun out of it. That Uber is not basically hogging the whole system, that people are not just going to be shown ad after ad after ad of the restaurants in the area or bars in the area or liquor, companies and things like that. But you'll keep me posted with that, I'm pretty sure. But again, like you said, I mean, if you made like 300, 400 or whatever bucks in 6 months, I mean, it could be like an extra set of tires, I mean, look, it helps in this day and age, right? With earnings the way they are, everything helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so let's talk a little bit about earnings. You said you're 8 months into it and you're doing both apps, obviously, and you're strictly doing rideshare. Um, where were your earnings at the start and where are you now? Do you think you've figured this game out altogether now? I mean, I'm not going to call you a rookie, but 8 months is a pretty short period of time.
Yeah, I've certainly improved. You were kind enough to have a conversation with me and give me some tips. I mean, because I don't drive at night, very often. I mean, New Year's Eve I did things like that, but as a general rule, I'm trying to stay married. So if my wife doesn't like me going around with Life 360, she'll see I'm in some god awful part of town, and
Yeah.
that's how my New Year's Eve ended. Like, okay, get home now. I don't want you down there. But so I usually shoot for $1,000 a week, and that last week I did that in about 36 hours.
Pretty
So
good.
that was a little bit unusual because of all the concerts and some
Yeah.
surges and things. But and normally it's about 40 to 45 hours to get that. It's been different in the summer. That is here our summers are so short that everybody plans everything in the summer. So it's kind of hard to get that much driving in just with weddings and family events and both my kids home and all of that. But during the winter, it's not too tough to get those kind of hours and to get to the $1,000.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to wait for the bus when it's 20 degrees and snowing.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you're not going to be doing it that much longer. But then, this is the positives about the gig economy, right? And I mean, $1,000 a week, like you said, it's real cash. Of course, it's not net, it's gross. You have expenses, but you're doing it with a paid off car, right? So,
Right.
I mean, basically, rideshare these days to me is like, take out the remaining equity in your car like an ATM machine, right? And use it as a short-term cash to pay a few bills or live on it until things pick up. And I think you are in the right space. I mean, what else could you do that will provide you with $1,000 gross and, without a schedule, right? And those are the
Yeah,
good things about it.
yeah, that's what I keep coming back to. That I could go get another job, but I wouldn't have the freedom to take phone calls and to stop it whenever I want. So and the point about the car is right. It's basically like a cash out refinance
Yeah.
on your house. I've got another big advantage in that my neighbor is a service manager at a car dealership.
Okay.
So he does not charge me nearly the retail price, better than any bonus Uber and Lyft are going to give you. And so I get tires and oil changes and all of that really cheap. And I've got another vehicle I can use if I
Yeah.
have want to do rideshare while the car's in the shop. So that works out pretty well.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, look, I think you're at the right space. You're doing the right things. And, hopefully in a few months, you look back at this as an experience that, look, rideshare is always going to be there, right? But then I think, there's a lot of hate about these companies out there. And, I mean, look, I'm really numb to the hate now, right? I mean, I do agree with a lot of drivers that they do a lot of shady stuff that they shouldn't be doing. But then why is still everybody driving? Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's like, this is so bad. Why is everybody like more people than ever are driving? Obviously, you're one of them because you wouldn't have thought of driving Uber and Lyft 3 years ago, 2 years ago, right?
No, no, I hardly ever use it. I only used it on vacation. So I naively thought before I was introduced to your show, I thought I was just going to be going back and forth to hotels and airports and
Mm,
driving pretty people to dinner and all. I didn't realize that a big part of it, probably 80% of it, is not that. It's just driving people back and forth to work and a lot of times in not such great parts of town.
yeah.
But there's still plenty of hotel pickups and airport runs and things like that. But yeah, it certainly is not what I thought, and I never in a million years thought I'd be driving for one of them.
Yeah, but it's no shame. I mean, there's a stigma attached to Uber and Lyft driving, right? Because ultimately,
Right?
they say, hey, you're just an Uber driver. No, 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 no. We're not just Uber drivers, right? Here's a man, he's got licenses to do this work, okay, people? You have to get licenses to be a mortgage broker. And to me, this is why the gig economy is good for. This is, gig economy, this is not a career. You can't be, it just shouldn't be a career, right? So, we have like a couple of minutes remaining, and at the end of every episode or interview, I'll ask the person I'm interviewing, to give us some advice, to give our audience some advice. And it doesn't have to be rideshare advice. Obviously, you're new, but then it seems like you caught up and you learned quite fast. And any advice, give us some advice to end this interview with.
Yeah, I maybe I'm naive, but I don't follow the creed of a lot of the drivers. I'll pick up at well with Uber I don't even know, but I will pick up at grocery stores and I'll help load groceries, unload groceries, try to save the time, obviously load luggage. I'm just friendly and try to be kind to everybody that is in the car. I read a lot of things in the different chat rooms that, that you're not paid to do this and you're not paid to do that. But and same with the elderly pickups, the hospital pickups, and I found often there's no tips, but
Yeah,
once in a while you do get someone that, if they're taking a lot of these riders and the driver doesn't help them with their walker or open the door or anything like that. They notice when it is and they'll tip cash. I had
yeah.
one lady a couple weeks ago that, well, she didn't run, she was about 90. But she went up to her assisted living center and asked me to wait, and she came down and gave me $40 for what was like a $10 ride. And
Wow.
I thought, I said, did these stick together? These are 20s and all of that. And she's like, I know exactly what it is. I
Yeah,
just wanted to say thanks and appreciate what you're doing. So that's my only advice. There's enough miserable people and things in the world. If I try to be friendly, if they're not, then I just sit there and drive, and that's fine too.
yeah.
But that would be the one piece of advice, I guess.
Yeah, basically attitude, right? I mean, look, we all do different things, different times of our lives, and then at this time of your life, you're doing this, and I'm pretty sure you look back at this as a positive experience for you that, kept you together with your bills and this is why the gig economy is there, right? And I mean, I thank you. I appreciate it, and I want you to obviously stay healthy, be safe, keep us posted with what's going on. And well, here's Nick from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And you know, I don't know what else to say other than thank you, Nick.
Oh, thank you. I guess one other tip is definitely watch your show. When I started, I was picking up babies without car seats, and I didn't tell my insurance agent that I was doing rides, and just everything that you could do wrong, I was doing wrong, and unaccompanied minors, and I just assumed Uber vetted the people, and then I stumbled upon your show, and then when you had the attorney on for the rideshare attorney, I've done arguing with people on the internet that you need rideshare rider on there.
Yep.
But in talking to my agent and other people and that attorney, the apps are going to find out. They already know more about you than you think they know. They have your mileage and everything else. So just I appreciate you guys for your show and all the information and advice. Just not worth giving up my house and everything else because I
Yep.
gave some lady a ride with no car seat. So
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you. If we can't do anything about it, that's what we're good at, right? Putting information out. Look, to each their own. I mean, you gotta
yep.
do what you gotta do. But we put it the way we see it, and then if you learn something from it, that's all our goal is, right? Educate, inform. And I'm glad we did this. I appreciate it. And you stay healthy and be safe out there.
You too. Thank you, Sergio.
Thanks for watching this episode of Behind the Wheel on the Rideshare Guy. We've been doing these interviews for the past 6 months with very successful drivers from different cities around the nation. Click here for another episode. Make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications for other episodes of Behind the Wheel as well as amazing content on our channel.